So I want to take a little bit of a break here from Browns talk and talk a little bit about what's going on today in the NFL, and I want to talk about Jim Harbaugh. So today is Black Monday, as it is nicknamed in the NFL, the day after the regular season officially ends and coaches get fired. Now, there were one surprising one to me, Brian Flores down in Miami. I do not understand that decision for the life of me. I heard that it was not on the field, it was behind the scenes problems, and that could be true. You hear a lot of these things and you never really know what's true and what's not. But the decision to get rid of Brian Flores, to me, just doesn't make sense. I mean, he turned a Miami team that was really going nowhere into a team now that has competed more. And at least my opinion was they add a couple more pieces, and if Tua can be as good as people hoped, they can get right into the thick of things here. There was plenty of people who thought Miami was ready to make themselves known and possibly get up there into the playoff level of play. And, maybe it wasn't as good as hoped, but they turned things around this season and got things back on track. But this caught me off guard. Now, there were a couple other firings that were known that were going to happen. Matt Nagy in Chicago, Mike Zimmer down in Minnesota, or up in Minnesota, I should say. Vic Fangio. I think Vic Fangio should have been fired probably last year. I mean, I think that Denver team is pretty ready to go, in my opinion, once they get the right quarterback, which is easier said than done. But if they can get a quarterback who can come in and, play at a competent level with the guys they have there, I think they're in a pretty good spot. But I want to talk about Jim Harbaugh because reports coming out that there's mutual interest between Jim Harbaugh and returning to the NFL. Now, there are some people saying that this could be a potential money play for Michigan. Now, I could see that, or rather a money play for Jim Harbaugh, to get a bigger contract out of Michigan. Now, this past season was phenomenal for the University of Michigan. I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things and you look at the big picture, since Jim Harbaugh was hired, it has been nothing but hype and talking him up, and Michigan's going to be this big-time program, college football playoff contender every year. They're going to compete for championships. They're going to win Big Ten championships. That's what was talked about. Now, that has not been the case, but this past season, congratulations, Jim Harbaugh. You beat Ohio State for the first time since he has been here, or not here, but been in the program as the head coach of Michigan. You win the Big Ten championship, you stomped Iowa, and you get to the college football playoffs. Now, you got blown out, and you did not look good, and it was embarrassing in a lot of ways. But you can't really blame Jim Harbaugh, in my opinion, for that. I mean, you look at the big picture in the season that he's had. This is what Michigan fans have been hoping for, just to get to this point where you're competitive with Ohio State. And not only were they competitive, they won. They did it. And the same thing with the Big Ten championship. You didn't just get there. You got it done. You won it. You got into the playoffs. And yes, what happened. But in my opinion, I think that Jim Harbaugh is likely to go to the NFL. And I'll tell you why. I think that, and I don't know how Harbaugh thinks. Nobody does. He's the only one who can know what he's wanting to do. But if you're Harbaugh, you got to look back at things and realize, okay, I've been at Michigan for a long time now. This was the first year that we actually got things done that we've wanted to get done for a while. And I know it's easier said than done, but they got done. And the question now becomes, are you willing to stay at the University of Michigan and continue to go through this recruiting process all the time, 24/7, compete with Ohio State, compete with Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin, to try to stay, relevant? And I know that might sound like a strange thing to say, but it's not easy. You know, people look at what Ohio State's done recruiting-wise, you know, and even though they've had their lows, they seem to be back in the thick of things just about every single year. Now, for Jim Harbaugh, the question that he has to ask himself, is this season the highest we can go? Is this season beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship, is this what we can get? Or can we go higher? I personally think that Harbaugh thinks this is the best he can get, because when you look across the field and you're looking at Georgia's defense and the multiple first-round draft picks, 5-star athletes that are on that team, the reality is Michigan is putting out talent, but it's not to that level. It's not like Michigan has, you know, these superstars at every position like you see a lot of these big-time teams having. So I 100% believe that Jim Harbaugh is seriously looking into the NFL, and it's my personal opinion that I think he will go. Now, where? I don't know. You know, Carolina is an interesting spot. Like I said, Denver's an interesting spot where you have the team around you with a lot of very, very good players, but the quarterbacks aren't there. And then you have situations, I know it came out today, or I want to say it came out today, that Miami is not an option there. So you can throw that one out. Now, would Jim Harbaugh go to a Minnesota where you can play a Jim Harbaugh style of offense, run the football, play aggressively up front? I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go if he does decide to go to the NFL, but what makes Harbaugh different than guys like an Urban Meyer or a Nick Saban is he has been successful at the NFL level. You know, this is him coming back if he chooses to do so. So I think that Jim Harbaugh is a good coaching candidate, if you want to call it that, because of the fact that despite him being out as many years as he has, you know, I think he can still get it done in the NFL, and I think he's accomplished what he wanted to accomplish at Michigan, and I think it's beating Ohio State, winning a Big Ten championship, competing for college football national championship. To me, that's what I think Harbaugh wanted to do, and I think now that he's done it, I don't know if he feels that he can go further. And I know Michigan fans, some of them believe that this is going to be the situation every season. You know, I admire you for your, you know, your belief in your team, but I think if you look at the big picture, look at recruiting, look at where everybody's at right now, Michigan had the perfect scenario right now this season, with Hassan Haskins running the football as dominant as he has been. The offensive line was set. Cade McNamara did not make mistakes for the most part. And on that defensive side of the football, you had guys like Daxton Hill and obviously the guys up front with Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo. This, to me, was Michigan's best situation for Jim Harbaugh, and it's not going to last, obviously, because Ojabo and Hill and Hutchinson are in the draft, and Hassan Haskins will be shortly if he's not this. I think he's back for another year, but regardless, I believe that Jim Harbaugh will be in the NFL coaching next season. Now, what does that mean for Michigan? I don't know. I will say this: I am an Ohio State student, Buckeye fan my whole life. You know, I have a lot of respect for what Michigan has done as a program. Now, I hate them, but you got to respect, you know, there's a mutual respect there to an extent. But if I was Michigan, I would look at their defensive coordinator as a possible head coaching candidate. I know he's fairly new. I believe it was John Harbaugh who kind of pushed him to Michigan, and to me this season he's been so successful. I would give him a look. I don't know if they will, but if Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL, it's going to be hard for Michigan at this point in the season to get a top tier coach, if that's what you want to call it. So I would strongly consider staying in house and going with their defensive coordinator. I know he's new and he's young, but as an Ohio State fan, sitting back and watching Michigan this season, I think a lot of their success came from the defensive side of the football, and I think they should stick with that. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you think Jim Harbaugh is heading to the NFL? Do you think this is just a money play? Let me know your thoughts. And how far do you think Harbaugh can take this Michigan team? Do you think this is his limit, or do you think he can go further? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.